Welcome to another episode of Wrestling with WorldWide Willis. This podcast is brought to you by the League of Melanated Gentlemen Podcast Network. And today I have my guys. It's kind of a reunion today, long lost reunion. I got my guy Morgan in the building. What's up, man?
Hey, how y'all doing, man? Thanks for having me, Brandon.
Yeah, man.
It is a little bit of a reunion. We've crossed paths at our day jobs recently. But we were on this podcast thing before podcasts were what they are now, man. We should have kept it going 15 years ago. We might be in different spots right
now. You're right. You're exactly right. For those that don't know, man, we was on podcasts in like 2011. You know what I mean? Like we was way ahead of the game. We had a little studio. We both worked at a school newspaper, at a college newspaper. And we was doing our thing. You know what I mean? It was probably, and the podcast was solid. You know what I mean? It wasn't trash.
We had intro music. We had an announcer saying our names on there.
Yeah.
We had structure. It was a production. We even had weekly guests. It was, hey, not to toot my own horn or toot our own horns, but hey, like I said, if we just knew what we knew now and kept doing that from 2011, I mean, it might be the best podcast on YouTube. You never know.
It's true. It's a fact. I mean, It's crazy, man, because, it's just wild. Like, to think going back to those days where we was writing random-ass stories, doing reviews on albums and all kind of random stuff we was doing.
I was the sports writer for that community college, Brandon, and I don't know if you remember, the only sport they really had was intramural flag football. They didn't actually have real, this wasn't like Cam Newton's community college or anything like that. They literally had intramural volleyball, basketball, and football. And then one team was undefeated all year long, and then they lost the championship. So for what it was actually some intriguing storylines. Like I had like a New England Patriots losing in the Super Bowl kind of storyline to follow. So, hey, it was all right.
Bro, I think I took over as a sports writer after you, I think. And it was awful. Like I was writing about swimming. I was writing about freaking like flag football playoffs. I mean, it was awful.
Hey, no offense to swimmers, but it doesn't translate to
exactly
writing too much.
Exactly, that's not what you sign up to do when you want to be a sports writer. But it was a good time. Definitely learned a lot. But just to let y'all know, we go way back. Morgan, can you give people like a background of like your wrestling, like relationship with pro wrestling, like going all the way back as a kid and whatnot?
Man, okay, so not that it matters, but my other career, my previous career, I lived my dream job. So I was a sports anchor, local news ranks for about 7 years. And like, that's all I wanted to do growing up. I'm not the biggest dude. I know I wasn't going to be playing in the NFL, so I wanted to cover sports. I loved the NFL, loved college football, go Tigers, loved all that. So I'm like, I want to be a sports anchor. I love sports. But before I loved sports, I was a wrestling guy, man, from like,
Gotcha.
1996 or whatever. I'm 32. I was born in 91. So when I was 10 years old, I'm like, it's the height of the Attitude Era. So I'm that typical, I'm a basic, dude. I'm a Stone Cold, just die hard. I'm looking at a Stone Cold Funko Pop. I got a Stone Cold vest I spent $100 on a couple months ago. I've got like 2 different Austin 316 shirts, even as a full-grown adult male. So I'm like Attitude Era, fanboy, which we'll get to that in a second, as somebody was called that last week on Raw. But I'm basically that. So, but I stopped watching, and the years, they kind of get tricky with me, and I don't know exactly when, but around the time it became WWE, around the time I think Stone Cold left, not for his first neck injury, but I think he like took a little hiatus after that. But it was right around the time I think The Rock went to Hollywood too. So it was basically right before the Cena, right before the Ruthless Aggression era, I checked out, and I checked out for maybe 15, almost 20 years. And I would just check in every year, like, let me see what's happening. And then I would see John Cena, and I'm like, who's this guy? And then I would see like, Batista, and I'd see all these people, and I'm like, who are these? All they want are just buff supermodels. Like, who? They all look the same to me. I was like Batista, Randy Orton. I'm like, what? They all wear the same, gear. It looks like what is all this? So I was ignorant, and I still am. But I recently just checked back in this March, right before WrestleMania, kind of. And I knew who Roman Reigns was, and I've kept up over the years, like I knew the Dean Ambrose, the Shield era, Sheamus. I've kept up with everyone and how they are, but not really religiously until now. I'm back in it, Brandon. So all that to say, I've been watching pretty much every week since right before WrestleMania. I'm hooked. I'm in. There's a couple new faces that we're going to talk about that kind of got me in, just like everybody else. But yeah, that's the lay of the land for me.
I love it. I love to see it. Yeah, it's definitely. And I've had other people on who like, checked out. Everybody has a checkout period, right? Yeah. Like everybody has a time where they're like, I'm good. I got life going, other things going on. I kind of moved on. And I kind of had a similar time. So I get that. And I was born in 1990. So, I mean, I'm right there with you. Like Stone Cold's the GOAT to me. So I get it.
I forgot to mention, I'm looking at the Stone Cold Fathead that I got from Cleveland. They were handing out in the Quicken Loans Arena Cavaliers playoff game. And, like right behind the basket, for free throws, and people were doing, signs and just trying to get the players, they were handing out like wrestling fatheads.
What?
Yeah. And so I've got just this cutout cardboard face of Stone Cold that I got from Cleveland. And it's like one of my prized possessions. So that's just adding, to the lore of that. But no, man, like, so a lot of stuff we'll talk about today, like you're the expert, you keep up with it, and I'm back into it. But I want you to fill in the blanks for me. And I kind of come from a perspective of, like I kind of know the lay of the land. I know wrestling. I've been into it my whole life, but also fresh eyes. I'm kind of coming from, as a newcomer and outsider. So, I might have some things. Yeah.
I like that because definitely, sometimes, and there'd be times where like I watch it week to week, so like I'll be like, oh man, I'm really feeling this guy, and then somebody will come in who's like, and we've had conversations before where you'll talk about somebody, I'll be like, oh dang, he is it. Like you'd be like, what's up with this guy? And I'll be like, well, and I have to actually explain it to you, and I was like, oh, okay, that is as good as I thought it was.
Exactly.
So yeah, fresh eyes is good. So yeah, we'll definitely break things down. Obviously, first we're going to touch on match of the week. The only match of the week I have, the past Collision for AEW is pretty good, but it wasn't no like match of the week quality. It was they had the FTR CM Punk versus House of Black. It was a solid match. I thought Brody King looked really good, which I was happy about, but it wasn't match of the week. I thought the best match of the week for me was the Intercontinental Championship, basically contender match. Chad Gable versus Tommaso Ciampa versus Riddle versus Ricochet in a 4-way match. Man, it was really good. Like it had no business being on Raw. Like that was an amazing match. It really showed like how stacked Raw is right now and how the mid card is super stacked. And it felt like one of those like old school NXT black and gold matches that they're like mid 2010s type of matches.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just a fun one. And obviously it was in Chad Gable's hometown, home state. And yeah, he won as he should have. The correct winner won, but all of the guys look good.
It was kind of not sorry to cut you off there. It was kind of random to me, like the type of I guess 4-way it was, but then I thought it was going to be more of just hey, it's Gable. He's, back home in Minnesota. All right, cool. And then the way they've kind of been pushing Ricochet a little bit lately, giving him more mic time, kind of making him more of a face. I was thinking maybe Ricochet was going to get another little bump, another little push. So the fact that Gable actually got rewarded and seeing, like you said, the right winner getting it, it's like, okay, they didn't overthink this one. Like, okay, finally give Gable some love. Cause I feel like he's been performing great and just not getting the W's like he's been needing, or maybe, should in relation to the crowd reaction. So actually seeing that pull off, I was like, there we go.
There you go, man. It's just like the dude is there. Like the dude's been there the whole time. There's like a whole like internet, like Twitter community that's been like appreciating Gable for the longest time. Like any match he has with, like any one-on-one match he has with like a top guy or a main eventer, he kills every time. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it was just I think it was just sort of a size thing, but also like, I think him and the Alpha Academy are kind of getting over. Yeah. So now they're like, oh, okay, now we can kind of really justify pushing him, that extra step. But yeah, you're right. Ricochet has been getting more love lately.
Well, Ricochet, he's interesting just because, I mean, obviously he's like the most acrobatic, athletic guy they probably got going, but it's also, kind of one of the things I used to think this, and not, no offense to him, because, he's got it more than I do, but he's always been one of those guys that's like, he just doesn't have it. Like, he's a good wrestler, but he kind of just sounds, and we were talking about this before, he just sounds a little unconfident when he speaks. He'll kind of give and I'm going to beat you up because I said so. And you're like, all right, man, good for you, So But I will say he's been getting a little bit better. But the Chad Gable thing was when I got back into it. I'm on Reddit. I'm on Square Circle, R Square Circle, RWWE.
Yeah.
I'm reading all the same stuff that everybody else does. And Gable was this guy that everyone kept mentioning. And I'm like, all right, what is it about this dude? And then I saw Alpha Academy, and I'm like, who is Otis? What is going on? This is silly. Like this is kind of the stuff I would look back on like 10 years ago and be like, all right, this is for the kids, whatever this is. But gave him a chance. And no, Alpha Academy is it. I mean, the Maxine Dupree, perfect, obviously for the look, just the vibe that she adds to it. It's great. But the whole little storyline of her trying to become a wrestler works.
Yeah.
Otis just has that natural kind of comedic element and that charisma to himself. But Gable, I'm telling you, that move, what did they call it? This is from my ignorant shows, that little deadlift.
Bro, I don't even know what it's called. I don't even know, like, I feel like he had a name, then they kind of went away from the name, then they went back. But like they should just call it deadlift, German suplex, something like that. That's what I call it.
I think it's more of an old school like move. I think maybe back in the Bruno days but I've never really seen that recently, man. So when I saw him pull that off, especially his size, how in control it is, I'm like, what's the catch here? But it's just all him. Ridiculously strong.
It is, man. And like I was saying, like I think it's more like a Japanese thing. Like over in Japan, they were doing like the deadlift, German suplexes, then it made its way over to the States. And yeah, like I just haven't seen people do the like into the ropes, the turnbuckle, gain momentum, and then hit them like that. It just looks really good.
So Gable finally but what do you think the cap is for him? So it's kind of like in the Ricochet level. Obviously, I mean, this is a mid-card match, so it's obviously with the Intercontinental Championship contendership on the line makes it a little bit bigger than it normally would be, just a random match of those four guys. But it's like, what do you think they're gonna do with Gable? I mean, I don't think he's gonna beat Gunther at all. I mean, I don't think anyone's expecting that. And I mean, or what do you think? Or am I wrong?
I don't know. Now, for me personally, if he goes in there and straight up beats Gunther, I'd be hot. Like I'd be pissed. I would be hot. Like Gunther should be protected at all times. Yeah. Now, if it becomes a like Alpha Academy versus what it's looked like is going like Imperium versus Alpha Academy, and then those two have the one-on-one match, and somehow Alpha, craziness happens, and then Gunther gets distracted, whatever. So I mean, I wouldn't be super mad with Gunther losing to Chad Gable, because I think that is Gable's like ceiling. I think Gable's ceiling is a really good mid-card champion, maybe even be a solid contender for like a Seth Rollins every now and again. But I don't think he's carrying the belt at any point, the big belt anyways. So like, yeah, like I would like to see, because the good thing is like we know Gunther has bigger and better things to worry about. You know what I mean? If he loses the belt, who cares? Like that's not really going to affect him that much. So I wouldn't mind it, but then also like they can't have him go in there and beat Gunther like straight up.
Make Gunther this imposing, unbeatable figure, and then to have him lose straight up. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But maybe that might be a good way. Like you said, some trickery or something with it. Something to do with the stables involved, and kind of get the belt off of him, then make him focus on the World Heavyweight Championship. How quickly? And I know this is your show. This is just my curiosity coming out now. How quickly do you think Gunther's going to be pushed to a bigger belt? Or do you think he's going to kind of do the IC thing for a little bit longer? You think they're going to make him the longest reigning one ever? Or is he already? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think he's really close. I think he's literally almost under a month, I believe.
That's right.
Of winning the whole thing or breaking the record. I do think they're being smart. I think they are like looking at timelines. I think they're thinking, okay, Roman's going to have the belt till WrestleMania. We got to have Cody. I think they're going to have Cody, Roman, and WrestleMania, right? You can't have Gunther just out there with no Intercontinental title, like out there until like in April, right? I think they're going to have Gunther be occupied from now till WrestleMania, have Cody win at WrestleMania, and then now you have Gunther lose, and then now you have Gunther go up against Cody. You know what I mean? Because
another good guy, bad guy, just straight up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, unless they change Gunther to a baby face, which I don't see happening, just because I don't think it's necessary. I just think that's the timeline. You do not want to have Gunther's like dominant ass just out here like waiting for a title shot when it's like he probably should beat everybody he goes up against, unless he beats Seth. Who knows?
Well, I'll say Gunther, however you want to say it. I will say, man, he was another one when I kind of got back into it a few months ago. Everyone was talking about him as well, like just beloved on all the wrestling forums.
Yeah.
And at first, I'm always a little hesitant. I'm like, all right, let me see what this dude's about. First time I watched him, I'm like, okay, I see it. He's, supposed to be this intimidating guy. But literally, like the second time I watched him in an actual match, I'm like, oh, I don't know what it is, but I believe it. Like I feel like he could whip everybody's ass in WWE. And that's the point of him, right? Like that's the true, like he's just that badass bad guy that nobody can mess with. So it works. It works for him. And then the little bit of Mike stuff that he does do, he kind of gets up there, the traditional heel, kind of, poops in the crowd a little bit, does his thing, doesn't say too much, but what he does say, it kind of goes a long way. So I can definitely see him being built up to be like the next, like the traditional bad guy. But they got so many. That's the thing. That's why I'm back into WWE right now, because I feel like there are so many solid little storylines and so many solid little character developments going on where it's like you want to see more of so many of these wrestlers. But then when you realize it, like you said in that match, the match of the week that we're talking about, you have 4 solid mid-card guys, and it's like this is kind of stacked right now.
Yeah, it is.
It
really is.
So, in another question, Brandon, what era are we in right now? Because I feel like, so we talked about ruthless aggression. That's kind of when I checked out.
Right.
And then I got back into it, or I just recently, like this year. But now, you're at the prime of Seth Rollins. You got Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn still doing their thing. But then you have these new faces like Gunther. You got LA Knight we're going to talk about. So what era are we in? Is it still a continuation of whatever it was after ruthless aggression? Or did we have a mini era after that and we're in a new one right now? How would you break it down? Or is history not written itself yet?
It's interesting. I'm glad you asked, because I definitely thought about this the other day, because I was like, I wonder if there's a name. We're definitely in an era, because there was the ruthless aggression era, then there was the PG era. That was like
that's right.
That's the whole Cena, they like leaned in on Cena as like literally we can't do anything to offend kids or offend families, like, you know what I mean? And that's how a lot of people lost. They lost a lot of fans during that time.
Was that like New Day as well?
Like exactly. New Day,
was
Cena.
That when Bailey like the hug angle or whatever she was? I give hugs to everybody.
Early Bailey, and it was like even like Divas, and then a little bit before the Women's Revolution type of era. But I think now, even to me, I think starting maybe even like 2020, to me, like I think the pandemic era obviously was terrible for human race, but I think the pandemic era for WWE was amazing. Like I think they killed it. But because we got a lot of the greatest storylines ever, including the Bloodline from that. So I think from like 2020 till now, we're definitely in a new era. I want someone to come up with a name for it, but
the PG-13 era.
Exactly. Yeah, like
it's getting a little
something,
edgier.
A renaissance, something. I don't know, but I feel like it's back to what, again, and we'll talk about LA Knight, but like back to that old era of like, okay, your roster stacked. You got talkers, you got a big time heel. You know what I mean? You got actual factions that people care about. You don't, you know what I mean? Because Vince hated factions for whatever reason, even though it made him a ton of money. I never understood that. But yeah, I do think we're in a definitely nice era. That's why I keep telling people like that are like, I know we're casual fans, but kind of like dipped. I'm like, hey, this is the time. Like if this was 2016, I'd have been like, hey, stay away for your own pleasure. Stay away.
No, I feel like I got into it. What was that? March, I keep saying. So, and even for me, I feel like I was a little bit late because I kind of picked it back up in the middle of the Bloodline story when I thought that was at the height of it. I mean, we're still kind of are in it. I mean, it's a new chapter now, so it's kind of not a lull. I mean, it's a big deal with the Jimmy and Jay thing going on, but I feel like the sweet spot of that was obviously kind of at WrestleMania and a little bit after that, and it's still in a great spot. Don't get me wrong, but even for me, I feel like I got in kind of late because I'm like, man, this storyline seems like it's been awesome for probably the past however long. What you say since 2020, probably 2021. So
really 2020 when it started.
Yeah. So I feel like if anyone's not into it now, go back and watch your replays and your streams and your YouTube clips. But I think right now, and that's the thing, the Bloodline storyline, I don't see it ending anytime soon. And I'm not saying it's on the back burner at all, which it's not. It still like takes over the entire SmackDown. But I feel like there's so many ways for it to go. People, I thought they wanted it to see it end at WrestleMania. They wanted to see it end, at Money in the Bank or whatever it was a couple months ago. And then now with the Jimmy J thing, it's like, okay, this could last us until WrestleMania next year. So it's just no end in sight. And some people think that's a bad thing. Some people think it's a good thing. So it just depends on what you fall on that one. But
Yeah, we can hop onto that. Like the whole Bloodline storyline. Obviously, at SummerSlam, we had the ramifications of Jimmy turning on Jay, and obviously Jay loses the match against Roman. Roman's still the tribal chief, still the champion. This past week on SmackDown, we had Jay supposedly leaving the WWE. People are really buying into that shit too. They're like, Jay's no longer on the WWE roster. I'm like, you guys are fucking idiots, bro. Like, you really believe in that man just on national TV? It was like, I'm out, and then just bounce. Like, come on, dog. Like that story. Come on, my guy. But yeah, do you think like the Bloodline? I guess what I've been thinking about lately, I'm like, like I think of like sports with a shot clock. Is there a shot clock right now on the Bloodline storyline, or do you think they have a lot more bandwidth to go to where they could, make it even more interesting, get kind of back on track?
Well, great question. Also, I like the shot clock thing because for me, because I got into it a little bit late, so I feel like I'm different. I feel like if you've been keeping up with it like you, I think obviously your answers are going to be different. But I will say the last little turn at SummerSlam, when it was the betrayal, I was kind of like. First of all, I was shocked. Once you saw the, pull him out of the ring, I knew who it was. But once he did the old little fashioned, pull his mask down or whatever, it kind of felt like, I like to talk about the Attitude Era a lot, but it did feel like some old school, just like, uh-oh.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, man, like that. I did not expect that to be the case. But now it's like, does the fatigue set in now? Because even though it's something we didn't kind of see coming, I guess at this point, it is kind of like, okay, are we just pulling out what we've got to pull out just to drag it out? Like, of course, do we kind of see the brother was going to turn on his brother just because that's all they have left and all they have to do? Right. Or are they going to make this intriguing in its own right? So it just depends. I mean, it's kind of a cop-out answer, but it just depends on how they do it. But right now, it kind of does seem like, let's milk this sucker out for all it's worth. Because I feel like it could have crescendoed. It could have ended for the most part. But now it's this whole other thing going on. So I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, it's a good answer. I mean, I think I'm a Bloodline guy, right? So I was, obviously I've been in it since the beginning. The Bloodline story from the beginning when it was just Roman and Jay and Paul, that was great. Then when Jimmy joined on, it was like, oh shit, we took it to the next level. Then they took a little flyer on Sammy. It was like, all right, this will be a little 1-2 week thing. Then it turns into this phenomenon that carries them for the next, year and a half, 2 years almost. And like, yeah, I mean, I think for me personally, I like to see the Bloodline is the best when they're actually together beating up on people. I think the story kind of took a dip when it started becoming internal drama, just because like the nods to internal drama was always interesting, but the actual like just straight up betrayals, now you got to actually fulfill on it. And it's like that. I don't think they've done that, honestly.
Kind of like the Judgment Day, how Finn and Damian got that little, understated, kind of like animosity going on, but they'll bury it for a little bit. They'll do the fist bump, but it's like, that's bubbling up soon. Something's going to happen with that. But I feel like, with the Bloodline, it's kind of, I guess, maybe the plateau or the crescendo is the right word, but yeah, I feel like maybe the height of it we've seen. And I think that's maybe where, and again, not to say that it's bad going forward or it's boring, but maybe I do think, we maybe have plateaued on it a little bit and now we're on the down slope of it. But that comes along with any storyline. I mean, how long has this been going on? I mean, it's not a bad thing that it might be on the down slope. You know what I mean?
Right. I think I don't want to say they did it too early, but like if your goal is to have Roman keep the belt all the way to WrestleMania 40, like, I don't know. This is tough to be,
you know, a lot of time to buy now.
Yeah, you got to buy a lot. You got to fill a lot of time. And I feel like it'd be a lot easier to fill that time with the Bloodline beating up against new contenders, new people, rather than this internal stuff where, okay, how are you gonna explain why at the end of the day why he still has the belt? Because I mean, the point of the whole thing was due to the Bloodline is the reason he has all this. You know what I mean? And so that's why he's the tribal chief. So I'm like, I don't know, man. I think there is a little bit of shot clock on it. I think people, because I'm even seeing on Twitter, people are like, man, Drew should have won it. He should have won his match. Now that all this happened, Sammy should have won it. Even though those people are idiots, still, I get some like, oh, I wish such and such happened just to have that moment. But like, people are
Well,
dumb and don't think out full all the way.
no, yeah, I agree. And then going back to what you said, how like maybe they did it too quick because I mean, even though it's been going on for 3 years or whatever it is, I think what they did too quick, like you just said, was that internal part of it. Because now, even though the brother, Jimmy turning on Jay and all that is awesome to watch, it is like, oh wait, because what I'm trying to say is they had the Solo aspect, then they had
Yeah,
Solo turn on his brothers, and they had they kind of chose sides, and then it was against Roman, and then now this is just the okay, more internal struggle, just to have more internal struggle. Let's have the brothers really betray each other now. So not that
right.
it's bad, it's just kind of expected. Like, all right, we're just gonna go through all of the different possible elements of betrayal internally, and
Exactly.
then it's like, okay, well, we still got 7 months.
Exactly. Like you're just
So
gonna
yeah,
have, all right, he betrayed on him. Okay, now have we had him betray him yet? Okay, let's
yeah,
just do that. You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's just like, and I heard a rumor is they're gonna at Survivor Series, they're gonna do all four in like a four-way match to whoever wins is the tribal chief. Because each of
Oh
them are
wow.
kind of each representing themselves at this point. You know what I mean? Solo's kind of
But what's the
solo.
thing with Solo? So is he just gonna get mad because he accidentally got speared? So now is that gonna
Bro,
create strife with Roman, or just blind? You know,
I guess
is
it just
is
still
that
don't make
it?
sense. The solo thing still don't make like he hasn't had a definitive like, oh, I get it, Solo. I get why you did that. He hasn't had that yet. All his stuff is just minor, minor shit that you
He
know.
just gets mad on the side and just
Yeah,
yells, and then just
yeah,
does
just
something, and then it's over. It's
yeah,
like, all right,
just
go
something
back to your
ticks him
corner.
off, and then he started looking at Roman crazy, and it's like, what, bro? Like you wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for Roman. Like you
Yeah,
need to relax.
everybody's just
Uh,
getting a big old head and big egos. They think they all should just be something right now.
you're
And
right,
yeah,
right. So, and that's the thing. Like if they do that at Survivor Series, okay, Roman's gonna win. Okay, what next? You know what I'm saying? So it's tough, and also I think the Bloodline story has kind of eaten SmackDown alive a little bit. Like it's kind of like
that's all it is.
it held up SmackDown, but right now SmackDown is the worst show. Like just straight up. Like just for like man for man, SmackDown still has some cool stuff. Obviously, we'll talk about LA Knight, but like
Yeah,
I
but it's
mean,
like,
yeah, but like
well,
they
yeah,
moving him
Raw
around now.
stacked. Yeah. They even put him on Raw to get the ratings up on the USA. But yeah, like you said
Exactly.
earlier, Raw is stacked. You got Ricochet, you got Gable, you got Gunther, Seth Rollins, Cody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who does SmackDown have besides the Bloodline? And I guess, like you said, LA Knight, sure, but he's also back, like going back and forth to Raw. Because even on
Right.
this one, LA Knight had, what was that thing on Friday? It was just a random match,
Bro,
just to kind of
bro, it
show him
was
the
yeah, just
squash match.
filler, just to
Yeah,
say we put him on TV. It
and
was
then the
trash.
storyline's on Raw. So it's like, okay, so he's not on SmackDown because now his main storyline's with The Miz. So,
Exactly.
but not to get too far ahead, but yeah, it's like SmackDown, they really do just ride the Bloodline into the ground, and it really is just a
Yeah,
variety hour. I would hate to see if it was a 3 hour show. SmackDown's still two, right?
yeah, it's still two. It's
Yeah,
still
boy.
two, and yeah, and that's the thing. It's like yeah, they in the women's division felt this too. Like I guess Raw women's division just kind of the same. Like they took all the Raw women's talent, most of it, moved it over to SmackDown, and now they're like, what happened? Why can't we get anybody? It's like, well, your drafting was the reason, and like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think the Bloodline low key they need to like cut down their time just a little bit, let some other people eat, or just like kind of do what you did with LA Knight. If somebody
Mm-hmm.
got a problem with somebody, they can just pull up. Don't matter what brand they are. You know what I'm saying? Which I prefer. I don't really give a shit about if you got drafted to, to
Well, I
SmackDown
don't.
or not.
And that's another part of the ruthless aggression or PG era that I missed too. When they just started doing the whole drafting thing, I missed the boat on that one too.
Yeah,
And I never understood it. I mean, I get it because if the people you like are on one, you got to watch one to give the ratings there. So I get why they're doing it. I get the business aspect of it. But as
right.
far as like the storyline and just the quality of shows, I feel like separating everything is kind of a buzzkill. But
I agree.
and then it doesn't even matter. Like you said, like they're just flip flopping back and forth. The draft was just a little 1 week, 2 week storyline just to kind of talk about, and I feel like it's just out the window as it
Yeah,
should be. But
you're right. I agree. Okay, so we talked about the Gable push, talked about the Bloodline. Did you see the Rey Mysterio? Rey Mysterio is now our new U.S. champion.
yeah, I
Uh,
did kind of.
Very interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Him and your boy Austin Theory.
See, I feel like we can get. Okay. You want me to talk about that? No, I don't want to. I don't want to get off the rails too much. I just didn't expect it. Wait, Brandon. Okay, so Austin Theory, I think I'm not going to call it a failure yet.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, too early to say it's a failure. I mean, but they gave this guy Cena, they gave this guy all these other people, and it just didn't work. Okay.
Right.
And then so now Rey Mysterio so what's going on with that though? Like, I don't, walk me through that. Like, I got Rey Mysterio, got all the respect in the world, legend. Yeah. But where I thought it would be someone else maybe on the rise to do that. Is this like just a filler thing? No offense to Rey Mysterio, but
yeah, like we get it. Like, pay homage to the man, but we get it. Like, no one saw him as a U.S. title contender. But I think what it is they want to move a different direction with Austin Theory, the character. So they're getting the title off of him. I think the original plan was for Santos to take it off of him, but I wonder if like Santos and like some other guys in the locker room were like, hey, Ray might not be here very much longer with us. You know what I mean? He might retire at some point soon. His son's in a good spot now. You know what I mean? That's kind of why he was even came back in the first place. Like, he wanted to make sure, put his son on, make sure he's good, solid footing. You know what I mean? His son is like, in the stratosphere as far as star power right now. So, so I think they're kind of like, all right, this is the last run. Let's give my man a reward. You know what I mean? On the way out. So I think that's kind of what this is. I hope that's what it is.
I mean, you watch it. We're going to go into another 4-year Rey Mysterio storyline or something like that where he becomes the man. But it's just a weird little stall. And look, that's to me with the United States Championship, and I might ruffle some feathers, and this might be, where I checked out for a few years, but I never cared about this belt anyway. And look, and I know that sounds bad, but it's like, I guess because I got back into it and Austin Theory was the U.S. champion, and I'm like, man, they must be giving this out to everybody. I mean, but to me, he kind of diminished it a little bit to me. I mean, even before that, it was always kind of like, obviously what it is. It's not the World Heavyweight Championship. It's not universal. It's obviously a second tier belt. But I feel like when I got back into it and then they were trying to push this Austin Theory guy and just was not working, then I'm like, this belt means nothing. He was barely defending it, or he was kind of off and on defending it ish. And, it was never clean victories, at least when he did do it. So it always kind of felt like a cheap little belt lately. So maybe Rey Mysterio can maybe give it a little legitimacy. Then they hand it off to somebody new, but it's just kind of a,
it's a whole thing. So for the U.S. title part, I will say they enhanced it last year. It was a great enhancement of the belt. The belt was actually on Raw most of last year, just because the U.S. title was on Raw. Intercontinental title was on SmackDown. That's kind of where Gunther got it, made most of his run. So the U.S. title was on Raw. They were killing it, bro. They was having classics. It was Bobby Lashley contended for it. It was Bobby Lashley held it. Obviously, Seth Rollins held it. Like, it was some great matches going on. Like, the U.S., that was when Roman, that's when they didn't have, obviously, the World Heavyweight title. So the U.S. title was kind of the heavyweight title for Raw, right? Because they didn't have another title. It was occupied by Roman. So that's when they were cooking. And that's when Theory was serviceable, just because he was going up against talent. You know what I mean? Hall of Fame level talent. Whereas now, when he got to SmackDown, it was like, okay, bro, spotlight's on you. You got to take it from here. And obviously, he hasn't done that. And I mean, I like Theory. I liked him. I loved him when he was in NXT with The Way, because he was just funny. Like, he was just the dumb, funny guy. He was the bro. Whereas in this one, he's just trying to be the confident, cocky. Like, again, we've talked about it before. He's trying to be LA Knight. He's trying to be Grayson Waller. And he ain't got that.
It's they're trying to make him, like, you have to have just a transcendent personality to kind of carry that just traditional, I'm a bad guy, you're going to dislike me role. And I feel like him, he's got tools. I'm not completely hating on him. He's got the look that Vince likes. He's super in shape. That facial hair could use some work, though. Don't get me started on that. I mean, we need to figure that out. But yeah, he just wasn't fit out for that role. And maybe speaking of like too soon, then maybe with Bloodline stuff, maybe like they tried to anoint Austin Theory too soon as well. I mean, even with the John Cena thing, even though that's a rite of passage and that's what they do in the business, I mean, you just saw right through that from the get-go. It's like, oh, yet another attempt to just make this guy liked or respected by everybody. John Cena killed him on the mic. He didn't even stand a chance in that. And then the match was weird. And that was like a hollow passing of the torch. It was, you know what I mean? It wasn't like
John Cena was on autopilot that whole match, bro.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, because this is around the time when I got back into it. But didn't he just like come in like literally like 2 weeks before? I want to wrestle Austin Theory now. And then it happened, and it was kind of no build. It was really thrown together, and you can tell. And that's why so him beating Cena doesn't matter. Like, that was the most pointless trying to get somebody over type thing, and it went to shit. So, but yeah, and now here we are. and he doesn't have the
Yeah.
belt. So what do you think they're going to do with him now? Just kind of like let him kind of go dark for a little bit, reset him?
I think they'll reset him. I hope he goes babyface. I hope they put him with Johnny Gargano because I hope they're trying to build back the Way, which was kind of a faction in NXT. It was Indy Hartwell, Candice LeRae, Johnny Gargano, and Austin Theory, and they were hilarious. Like most of their stuff was like backstage stuff. It was like more comedic. Like they were villains, but it was funny stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think they tap into that, especially there's plenty of room on SmackDown to have another stable. So I hope they do that with him, maybe repackage him a little bit. And yeah, just let him be a funny guy, like a better version of Riddle, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Riddle.
And,
What's he doing? You know?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, let him just be the funny guy in the back.
Yeah.
Do his thing. I think Riddle's amazing in the ring, but I think Theory could get to that point. It has a little more like ceiling as far as star power. He just hasn't been. He's not a natural heel. I think, like even seeing backstage stuff, behind the scenes stuff, like he's great with kids. Like he's just not a natural like asshole. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
I can see those clips of the Way.
Yeah.
That's my when I was checked out in my ignorance, I didn't have too much exposure to the Way. So when you're describing this, I'm like, I want to see how that would work.
Bro. It's funny. He does some funny stuff, bro. One time he was talking to what's my dude's name? God damn it. Karrion Kross's girl, Scarlett.
Oh,
he was talking to her. It was just hilarious, bro. He was like talking around it, and you thought he was like describing her like breasts, but then he was describing something totally different. And the whole time you're like, bro, what are you talking about? And it was just funny, man. And I think he has really good like comedic timing. It's hard to do that as a heel, and you don't have people around you, don't have vets around you to kind of help you out. So I think he'll be fine. I mean, I think what I'm hoping with Rey Mysterio, this is what I'm hoping happens. I'm hoping Santos obviously has a little fake injury, whatever. Then I hope, maybe they have a celebration next week, right, for Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio got his belt again, the Hall of Famer. And then Santos turns on Rey Mysterio, makes the LWO a heel faction, and lets Santos be the leader, kind of like, a nod to like Eddie Guerrero when he was the leader of LWO.
Okay.
Because like Santos is a really good heel. Like he's naturally a heel. He's kind of just been doing the whole babyface thing. He can do both. But I think his star power is as a heel. So I'm hoping he turns on Rey. Because that's what like in the 90s in WCW, it was LWO versus Rey Mysterio. They was trying to get him to join. He didn't want to join, blah, blah, blah. I hope this time they do it in a new age version. And then obviously Rey and Santos can go for the title again, go against each other for the title, and hopefully Rey loses. But
that would give some backbone to it. Yeah, because Rey Mysterio just beating Austin Theory out of nowhere, kind of like, all right, cool, but there's no like meat to that bone. So I feel like with the Santos thing and the family thing and the LWO, that would at least give some real legitimate story to it. So they should make you a writer.
Hey man, sign me up. Call me.
Put you in there.
Yeah, call me. But yeah, it'll be interesting. It's a U.S. title reign. I mean, I hope Santos somehow turns heel and gets it, but if not, hopefully he can get it. I like Rey. But Rey ain't the work he used to be.
Yeah, he's
and
not.
Like if he goes against Sheamus or somebody, I don't even want to see that murder. It's like that would be a bloodbath. So we did want to talk about our key thing here. Your boy, your boy, LA Knight. Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I try.
LA Knight and The Miz, man, had an outstanding promo last week on Raw. How'd you think about it?
Oh man. All right. I don't want to get too sensationalistic here, man. But real quick. So LA Knight, another one of those people I was reading forums about, and I was like, why does everybody like this guy? I missed out on the whole TNA Eli Drake thing. Barely knew who this guy was. I just knew all the Reddit comments were like, oh, this guy's got it. Oh, he's so charismatic. Watched a couple clips, actually lived up to it. So there's a part of me that's like, do I like him because everybody else likes him, or do I like him because he actually is talented? I think it's both. Yeah. Because it is interesting, as we're not kids anymore, even though I'm pretty immature, we're not like kids in the fact like we're going to believe everything on screen. Like to me, the interesting thing about wrestling now is like the behind the scenes stuff.
Exactly.
So you see someone getting a push, it's like, oh, And this is how I try to explain it to all my friends that are not wrestling fans, or like even girls, anybody that's like at my house just hanging out with me. I'm like, watch this clip and I'm going to explain everything to you.
Right.
They're like, what are we doing here? But I try to get the point across, like, because, everyone says, oh, it's fake, it's scripted, why do you like it? I'm like, no, here's the thing. So with the LA Knight thing, you see this guy organically just get over. Yep. Everybody's loving him. The company's kind of like not really doing much with him. They held him off TV right before WrestleMania, or whenever that was, right before Money in the Bank or whatever it was. They didn't even have him at WrestleMania. So it's like, okay, this guy's red hot, but the company's not believing in him. Is that because of his age? Is it because of this? But then he's gotten himself so over, they have no choice but to put him on TV more. And so the thing, fast forward a lot now with this Miz thing, that was to me just such a, all right, so you think you're that guy? You got your little catchphrases. You got the crowd behind you. You're selling shirts. All right, go sink or swim, dude. Let's see what you got. And I feel like if he floundered in that moment, I think LA Knight. I'm not gonna say over. Like I mean over as in done. But if he really flubbed up that promo battle with Miz, I don't know what would happen, because that's literally the company right there saying, all right, brother, go show us what you got. Sink or swim. And I think he swam. And the thing is, everyone's saying, oh, the Miz got the better of him. Oh, yeah, the Miz did this. The Miz is the Miz, man. He only does this, twice a year now? But when he actually wants to try on the mic and has something to work with, the Miz is the Miz. That's why he's going to be a Hall of Famer, I think. And that's kind of his calling card. He just, that ultimate professional, does his thing, comes out when you need him, gives these new up-and-coming superstars the validity they do need. So that's what made this promo battle so special to me, because one, I had that sucker ready to go. Once I heard him mention LA Knight, I think I like put my dog outside. I didn't want any distractions. I was like, I like turned the lights off. Like, I got into this, man. Like, I turned the volume all the way up. I was like, let's see what this is about to be. Cause I'm like, at least it's going to be LA Knight just on screen again. And lately that's just always been fun. But I'm like, oh, the Miz is starting to get in something here. And then once he kind of started to mention the respect thing, I was like, okay, let me see what happened. Then it's L-A, and then whoo, everyone goes again. And I'm like, what's about to happen? And then when it started getting a little personal, and that's the beautiful thing about the Miz, man. I don't know if it was a shoot or a work. I'm pretty sure, obviously, that was all scripted. I think I'm not going to say it was a lot of it was off the cuff, but I do feel that's the beauty of like the Attitude Era and what everyone loved about it back then, at least when we were kids, is it seemed real, and it seemed like the actual promos were like real heat, and people didn't like each other, and Triple H and Stone Cold and The Rock and all that legitimately did not hang out, legitimately were not friends, and it all seemed a little more real. So that's what this Miz and LA Knight thing really struck with me. It wasn't just two dudes that were good and had some good lines. Yeah, cool, that's fine. But the fact they did get a little personal. Miz calling out all the internet comments like, hey, oh, yeah, he's a ripoff of The Rock and Stone Cold, an Attitude Era fanboy. Wow, we've all been hearing that for months now. To see it said to him in the ring, it's like, okay, all right. And then for LA Knight, then it's a tough position for him because he's got to defend himself. So the fact that he came back with the whole betting on the wrong horses line, you included, not going to lie, to me, that was just chef's kiss. And then right after that, when he goes, meanwhile, this thoroughbred, and I'm like, man, it was just, it was The Rock. It is Stone Cold. And I hate everyone that says, oh, he's a ripoff of those. No, it's just a nice little combo throwback of what we all grew up loving. And that's why that little fanboy comment hit so bad. You can tell he's an Attitude Era dude too. You can tell he is. He's not ripping off The Rock. Yeah, he's not ripping off The Rock. He's not ripping off Stone Cold. He just naturally has formed. It's like quarterbacks in the league. It's like, people coming up. It's like, oh, I'm out of my game after this player. I'm out of my game after this person. It's like, you got to model your game off the best to ever do it. And the thing with LA Knight, though, he's got just enough twist to it, just enough of his own thing. Or a lot of it, I should say, to where he doesn't strike me as, I don't think of, oh, that's Stone Cold. Oh, this is The Rock. Oh, this is the wannabe. I think this is that dude. He's got a cool look. He's got a cool voice, got good delivery, got good lines, got charisma, got all the tools. And so the fact that they got personal about it, and then he kind of responded back and didn't flounder. Yeah, he had that one little hesitation. He said your career's your toilets in the career or whatever. Fine. Yeah. That happens. And I'm not gonna lie though, when I was so locked in, Brandon, I was so locked into it. When it did happen, I did kind of go, no. I was like, no. Did the same.
I got out of my chair. I was like, shit.
You kind of felt awkward. It was like, it's not a big deal, but it kind of was a big deal. It's like,
you wanted him to hit a home run, just first pitch. He hit a homer. He was down 0-2 maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, he did his thing. But yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Like I got out of my seat like, fuck,
No,
dude.
dude.
Like,
Exactly. I was like, no, I was like, no, get. I was
yeah,
like, stop, get back on,
yeah.
And
No,
he
but
did.
thankfully he recovered. He recovered
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, and I think that's what separates. Like, I think the average fan out there probably sees that, like, okay, he flooded the lineup, but I'm like, no, I'm like, that's more than a flub. I'm like, they expect you to be perfect in this moment, man. You can't be messing. It's kind of it was what was sad about it also is because it came after that Friday Night SmackDown right before SummerSlam, that botch move with Sheamus, that whole debacle. So it's like, dude, you can't be giving these pushes. You can't be Mr. Underdog guy giving the pushes, giving these wins, and then you can't hit the move. You can't hit the highlight of the match, the spot of the match versus Sheamus. You responded well in SummerSlam. Even then, though, it took a while and it was not clunky looking, but it took a little bit to happen. And then you go out there and then you're shown, hey, go out there versus The Miz and do your thing on the mic. That's the one thing everyone thinks you're the best at. And then you're going to flub on that. So dude's got work to do. He's being handed the reins and I think he's passing with flying colors. But if you really want to take that next step, you can't be having those little mess ups on your lines like that. And you can't be messing up the highest spots, highest moments of the matches if you truly want to back up all of that fanfare and everyone loving you. Because you do that a couple more times, fans are going to be like, all right, maybe he's not as legit as we thought. Because right now he's still at that little like made up land. It's like we don't know truly what he can be. But I'm being, I think, a little too critical. That promo battle with The Miz, man, last thing I'll say, I'm sorry, I'm taking the stage over here.
No, do your thing.
People listening here are like, shut this dude up. But I'm so passionate about this one thing, and I've watched it on repeat for a week. One, that shows you how much of a loser I am. I got not much going on. But I've literally watched it probably about 6 times. And it's just an old school promo battle, 2 dudes just throwing haymakers, and it's beautiful. And then even the way he ended it with the handshake on the ground, like that's like Stone Cold, getting in somebody's face, flipping them off with the beer. Like, so it is a throwback to what we grew up loving, but it's all in the right reasons, and it's not forced, and it's real. And I think it's just beautiful, man, because I haven't seen a promo battle like that. And of course, we all know, if you listen to this whole episode, I haven't been in the game for a while, but man, to me, Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong, that was one of the best promo battles I've witnessed in some recent memory. And I think both of them knocked it out the park. The Miz doing his job times 10, and LA Knight rising to the occasion. So it was beautiful.
No, it was definitely beautiful. I think to me, it's like probably the promo of the year as far as like WWE is concerned. Just because it was just 2 like samurais who going up against each other. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Literally, we know what The Miz, like, we know what he's capable of, especially when you dig into stuff that's personal to him, that he can like grow off of. Oh, like you can see, like, even when he starts talking, he gets even more intense. Just because it's the more real it is, like it's actual real topic. He actually did get kicked out of the locker room. He actually did get bullied. He actually did get, you know what I mean, hazed and all that stuff. And so now he's like, been here longer than all those people who hazed him, and he's talking his shit, which he should. And then obviously LA Knight is talking his shit too. Like he's been grinding from the beginning. You know what I mean? My dude's been everywhere since like 02, like 98, been everywhere. And man, it was a great promo. I thought he stepped up to the plate. It's a tough draw, obviously, with The Miz, but that's what you want, right? Like if you're the guy on the mic. And like for the people that do like the impersonation thing, my thing is like, bro, if you're impersonating it, like this is LA Knight has been the same his entire run. Like this isn't some new version of LA Knight. This is him. Obviously came with the Max Dupree shit. That was stupid. That was more Vince than anybody. I'm
surprised he survived that, boy. When I was doing some video, just watching research on him, and they threw him in there as a manager, Max Dupree. I was like, everybody, what was that, dude?
Everybody was tripping off that, bro. Because we was like, bro, because I saw him at Eli Drake, teenage. I knew he was great. But when he got to NXT, I was like, oh, this is the guy. Like, this is that dude. Y'all need to push him immediately. Just because my thing is like, bro, you don't go from level to different levels, different environments, doing the same character and get over in every one of them. And somehow you're a ripoff. Like ripoffs, usually if you're a ripoff and you have no talent, it only gets you so far. You know what I mean? And for him to get to this point and be the most over guy, basically in WWE, gets the biggest pops of everybody. Like no matter who is pops, coming out there.
Talk about throwback, dude. That's an Attitude Era throwbacks, man. That gives me every time. Literally, man. Along with watching that same promo 18 times, I just watch LA Knight pop videos, and I get chills, man, because I'm like, that's genuine, just reaction that is just so organic. It is like, and it just brings you back,
bro. Bro, he had the biggest pop of SummerSlam. You know what I'm saying?
They treated that Battle Royal like it was a Royal Rumble. It was insane.
Bro, people were going, like, I literally was like, no. Yeah. No. You know what I'm saying? Like, I should not give a damn about a mid-card Royal Rumble Battle Royal, non-Royal Rumble related. But, bro, I was in there like, bro, you better not have that man get loose to any of these idiots in here. But, yeah, bro, it's the dude, he showed up well. I think it's the promo of the year, WWE. And, like, yeah, man, like, they put on the show. And I'm glad to see him. And like you said, bro, when they did the whole, like, Miz in the back about to take a photo shoot, she's like, well, actually, you have to wait. Bro, when the camera panned over and I saw LA, I was like, let's go.
Because in that moment, that's such a sign. It's like, the push is here. Like, this is it.
Yeah, it's
He's
time.
on Raw
it's
now.
go time.
They're mentioning him like at the beginning of show, like, it's it. So this is it. And that goes back to what I was saying about like what makes wrestling interesting now. So this LA Knight thing, the reason I think everyone's so captivated now is because we're seeing the birth of like maybe a superstar literally like happen. And not that it's like they're telegraphing it or anything like that, because honestly, people think this should happen a month ago. But I do appreciate how they did kind of keep him off a little bit, because the worst thing to anybody is oversaturation. So even if they gave him money at the bank, or if they even kind of pushed him at WrestleMania a couple months ago, I mean, people might be done with him. You might need to make this guy lose. Maybe they need to I don't know how to play it with the Miz, but you might need to have him lose a couple more, maybe kind of keep the fans wanting, like, oh my God, he needs to break through. But then it's also that fine line of if he loses again or does something, it's like, does that kind of kill the momentum? So it's kind of tricky with what they got to do. But regardless, it is so crazy because you see him, like you said, on the screen with the Miz before the promo. Then they have him in a big promo battle, which is like as much of a sink or swim moment you can have in this business. And then it's like the storyline they're going to put him in and blah, 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 blah. Like, you're seeing the creation or him doing it himself, whatever you want to call it, of a WWE superstar. So that's like the intrigue to me, the behind the scenes, like, this is the guy. Even putting him in the Slim Jim commercial, that is like a big deal. You know what I mean?
That was huge.
Yeah.
Him and Bianca Belair, the other like damn John Cena level, superstar. Like, yeah, that's huge.
So
that's huge.
It's just and he's got that personality. And I know he's older, but dude, I Google all the ages of wrestlers all the time. Bro, Sami Zayn's like 39. I know they've been at it for longer, but you told me Damian Priest was 40. I had no idea Damian Priest was 40.
Yeah, Damian Priest's old as hell. That's what everybody used to say in NXT. We'd be like, bro, get this dude out of here. He's old as shit.
No idea.
You know what I mean?
So, I mean, of course, would I rather LA Knight be like, 28 and be in the – sure, obviously. Yeah. But also, like he said, his time is now, and it's coming at a certain point for a certain reason. Maybe if he came 10 years ago, it wouldn't resonate as much. But I think people are ready for a character like him. Yeah, I know he's got like the LA Knight name, whatever, but I think he is him. He is LA Knight. He is that character. And I think maybe there is a blessing in disguise to why it took so long, because I think it's resonating more than ever. And I think we talk about eras. I think this is a new era. Maybe LA Knight's reign or whatever it's going to become, him with the Gunthers and the Seth Rollins and all of this and this new little crop of people coming up. I think this could be maybe a new defining era. We just got to get a name for it. Maybe.
I agree. We definitely got to get a name for it, because like Ruthless Aggression era kind of had a name while it was happening. Attitude era had a name while it was happening. We got to get a name. I agree with that. But like you said, like it's a beautiful time to be in wrestling, and that's why I'm glad that he's now over during this time. Like, because if he would have been over in 2016, 2013, right, it wouldn't have hit. We didn't have near as many viewers. We didn't have near as much interest in wrestling in general, but definitely not WWE, where now he's this is the moment, because he has the most eyeballs we've had on WWE and maybe ever, like, honestly.
It's crazy. You were telling me about that. It's like they're selling out more. They're selling more merchandise than ever. And it is just a weird, crazy time. And it's funny because like people like me jumped on it. Like, nobody was telling me, Morgan, you better turn back into wrestling. It's just I naturally tuned into it and was like, this is different. This is different now. So whatever they're doing, man, Triple H, is it him? He's cooking. So whatever they're doing, man.
He's been cooking for about a year and a half, almost two. Bro, like, even his first pay-per-view, I think, was 2021 SummerSlam, I think. And that was a great card. You know what I mean? And yeah, like you said, like SummerSlam is in arenas now. SummerSlam used to be, it was important, but it was just in you know what I mean? SummerSlam is in stadiums now, where it used to be in arenas. You know what I'm saying? So like, they're doing fucking like overseas big ass stadiums like twice a year now.
Well, to your point though, AEW, man, it's just a good time for wrestling in general, because AEW, aren't they selling out Wembley Stadium or something?
Exactly.
Crazy? So it's just a time.
Exactly. Yeah, we can quickly touch on that. So AEW is going in. So right now they have their big pay-per-view All In. It's in London. They're kind of building the card right now. It's kind of annoying because like we kind of hope this card would be kind of set already. Because it's only a few weeks away, I think. But like one of the matches, let me know if you're familiar with any of these people. So FTR, they used to be in WWE, but they're a great tag team. They got the Young Bucks.
Heard of the Young Bucks. I've seen them a lot. And I'm not gonna lie,
Okay.
if people listen to this are like, why is this guy on this wrestling podcast? But yeah, AEW stuff. Yeah, I am lost to the most of it. I mean, I know some of the heavy hitters, but sorry, keep going.
Yeah.
FTR, not really familiar. Won't lie.
Right. FTR is great. I love FTR. I like Young Bucks. Young Bucks are more, Hardy Boys style. I prefer more FTR style, but that's going to be a classic. FTR and Young Bucks have went against each other twice. The series is 1-1, so this is kind of the rubber match for the tag titles. Then you have the big one, CM Punk versus Samoa Joe. Obviously, those are both like household names. They're going to be fighting for what we believe will be considered the championship, one of the championships. CM Punk obviously won the title, then left, got suspended, came back as saying he's the true champion. Classic wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, CM Punk, Samoa Joe, they actually went against each other a few weeks ago in Collision. It was really good. Like I thought it was just going to be watching, two washed ass wrestlers go against each other, but it was really good actually. And Samoa Joe was really good. So is CM Punk to be this age. But the match I'm most interested in is the bromance of the summer, and that is Adam Cole and MJF going against each other for the AEW championship.
So catch me up to speed. So now they're already against each other again?
Well, so it's on good terms. So they're
just battling out. They're still friends, but they're just wrestling in a match for the title together.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. MJF basically promised Adam Cole, hey, if we win these tag team titles, because they actually did go against FTR for the tag titles, they lost it was a great match, like an outstanding match. But before the match, MJF was like, hey, Adam Cole, hey, if we win these titles, I promise you I'll give you a rematch. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. They lost. It was a great match. And MJF, everybody thought, end of the match, classic villain stuff. MJF is about to clock Adam Cole over the head with his belt. We all expected is MJF. But he didn't. You know what I mean? And it was really smart not to have him do it. And so he basically said, like, hey, like, out of gratitude, you're a friend of mine now. I'll grant you a rematch. So it's kind of they're still together, but, obviously they came together due to having a rivalry over the world title. So
are they slightly making MJF a babyface now, or is he still?
Bro,
was he just so good? He's a heel, but he's so liked still. Is that what it kind of is?
That's kind of what it is, bro. You should check it out, bro, on YouTube. Like, he's so good at he's low key playing like hero, like a babyface cosplay. Like he's doing stuff that these dumbass that he used to make fun of baby faces for doing. And so it's kind of like funny at the same time because you could tell in his mind, like he's imitating a stupid baby face and like one of those like white hot baby faces that like aren't very smart and like only feed off the crowd and all that stuff. And that's what's so good about it is because it's like, bro, we know you're not like this, but we're all waiting.
Facetious, kind of just
exactly
manipulating a little bit, just kind of mischievous.
Exactly.
Okay.
We're all just waiting for the time he turns back into the regular MJF. And that's kind of what's making it in the background. But then even still, like we're all loving this MJF Adam Cole dynamic. Like they've been putting out videos every week. Hilarious. The last one was they were at a trampoline park and MJF always makes fun of Adam Cole because Adam Cole is a gamer. Adam Cole is like has a YouTube channel, big time gamer. MJF is like, bro, those are for virgins and nerds, and you know what I mean. And they were at the trampoline park, and Adam Cole's having a good time, and MJF's like, I'm good, like this is for nerds, and he's like, well, they got dodgeball, and then MJF grabs the ball, starts throwing it at little kids and stuff, and he has a good time with that, and like, so it was just funny stuff. They just produce some top tier stuff. Honestly, that storyline is what's carrying AEW right now. There's really not any other storyline that's super great. But that one's just so good. It might be storyline of the year so far, honestly.
And the last thing I saw was the was the little video of them at the bar, and you had like the three ladies walk by.
Oh,
And
bro.
MJF is just like, all right, let's go. And Adam Cole being the nice guy and stuff like that. So even that was funny. Like they were playing video games in that one. So I need to check it out more. I just honestly, I've just been so much in the WWE world where I'm like, I'm like LA Knight, and all this Bloodline, all that. And then I was kind of obsessed with MJF for a few months ago when he did that one really good promo where he was just going off. You know what I'm talking about, right? That really got everyone's attention. And so that was my first exposure to MJF. And I'm like, okay, this dude, where the hell did he come from? Right. All right. But no, I might need to start just putting on the DVR, man, and checking it out.
Bro, that's what I do, man. Honestly, like Wednesday nights, Saturday nights. I didn't think I'd like the Saturday night thing. I'm you know, that wasn't really a thing as much in the 90s. It was kind of more of an 80s thing. Honestly, I loved it. I'm loving it so far. Like the collision shows.
When football season's not here, you know.
Exactly.
So when football season shows up again, though, like,
it'll be interesting. Definitely will be interesting. But for me, I'm not the biggest football fan, so I'll turn it on, but then I'll also watch collision at the same time. But MJF and Adam Cole have mainly been on Dynamite on Wednesday nights. So yeah, you can definitely DVR it. You can look up their videos, AEW on YouTube. They put all their videos up there. It's hilarious, man. And MJF, like, dude is a superstar. Dude is great in the ring, but obviously he's so good on the mic and as a character, like his ring stuff kind of takes. And
what is he, like 26? How old is he?
Yeah. I think he's 26,
young, right?
Yeah, he's young. So that's why, like, I think whatever they're gonna do,
27 years old.
27, yeah. Mm-hmm. I think they're gonna do it now at Wembley Stadium, and then eventually, he's always talked about the bidding war of 2024. You know,
that's when his contract's up next year.
Exactly. That's when his contract's up, and that's when WWE will call. Like, WWE will hit his line.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up because I don't want to be like, traditional, so what do you think MJF's going to do? But is he, and I mean, this again, I'm asking dumb questions, but like, I know he's the best thing they got going in AEW, but is he truly going to be like a top target of WWE and like pushed when he gets WWE if he does go there? Or is it more of just like a keep him away from AEW? He'll have a role at WWE, or is he like, no, he's it. He's going to be like the next top guy, no matter where he goes.
I think he'll be the next top guy, just because like his ability to be a heel. I think could equally be as good of a babyface if he wanted to. He's just so good of a heel. Like, he's next level heel. He has like Hall of Fame level heel talent, and so I think if WWE's smart, which Triple H is, Triple H knows, like, okay, I need somebody to grab before Roman gets out of here. You know what I mean? And so if he can get him, and then that can be your heel for the next, 10 years, however long, you know what I'm saying? Like right now, they're in a great spot right now, but then you also got to think, obviously, future. And, freaking Roman ain't going to be here forever. Randy may never come back. You know what I mean? Who knows?
Hey, you know what I'm thinking?
Who?
And I know it's not an original thought. Give me some MJF LA Knight promo battles, baby.
Yeah. Bro, I could just see MJF talking about how old he is and like all that shit.
It might be tough for LA Knight. It might be tough for him. He would go through all the cheap shots, but
I will say LA Knight better bring his lunch on that one. LA Knight better bring his lunch on that one. He better have some great material ready. Because MJF will cut a lot deeper than The Miz will.
Absolutely. Hey, and real quick, not to go too all over the place. What do you think's next? And we're recording this during a Raw, so I might date this episode, so you can cut this out if you want, Brandon. But what do you think is the next evolution of the LA Knight in this thing? Do you think it's going to be a couple promo battles and they're going to battle out the next pay-per-view, or what do you think that's going to be?
I mean, I'm hoping that I hope that program like lasts a while. Mm-hmm. Like, I would love it if that's on Payback. That'd be great. Like LA Knight needs to have a singles match on a pay-per-view. Like, that has to happen from now on. You know what I mean? So yeah, him and it'd be perfect. Payback. Literally, LA Knight eliminated The Miz in the Royal Rumble, right? That's kind of what started this whole thing. So like, why not have them two have a program for months to have that match at Payback? Keep it going. If it's great, keep it going. You know what I mean? That's a great starting off point for LA Knight. Like, as a series main eventer, why not go against your damn near alter ego? Just like, you know what I mean? Why not go against him? You know what I'm saying? So, and I think, Miz can push him. Like we talked about, he has some improvements to make. The Miz can keep pushing him to where he gets to that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's perfect because it's putting him in the spotlight, but it's not like, some ridiculous, unnecessary, like premature, like, all right, you're going to be going against Seth Rollins already.
Exactly.
So I think the Miz is high profile enough to where it'll still be interesting. But they got to stop doing that, what they did on Thursday, whatever the hell that was, or Friday on SmackDown.
Oh yeah, I agree. I totally agree. That was stupid.
And even the announcer, and I know they have the heel announcer and the face announcer, but it was true. It was like, all right, LA Knight saying the same stuff as always. It was like, yeah, because he literally got the mic. Hey, yeah, all right, yeah. Everybody's saying LA Knight, yeah. And it was like, okay, there's no point to that. He didn't even mention the Miz. It almost felt like that was pre-taped, like that match. That thing was like taped like weeks ago, and they just inserted that into SmackDown. Like that's what that seemed like. It was weird.
I'm honestly, they need to get him away. Hit Row is like that's just the loser faction. Like we just know whenever they're in the ring, they're losing. They're going to be the funny, the joke of the whatever the bit is.
Jobbers, yeah,
exactly. They're jobbers. So like we need to get him away from jobbers. Yeah, get him away from jobbers. He needs to be taken seriously. The Miz stuff is taking him seriously. Putting him against fucking them guys. Keep him away from them.
Something must have happened. That must have just been like they probably like an oversight. Like something had to happen where they're like, oh shit, we forgot throw him in versus Hit Row. Okay.
Honestly, like this past SmackDown was not that good. So I think they honestly were just like, we just gotta have this man on the show. If we don't have him on the show, internet is gonna light us on fire. So like they was just like, who's available? Oh, y'all ready? Okay, go out there, let him hit you with the blunt force trauma and let it be over with. You know what I'm saying? But I do think he'll be on tonight on Raw. So we'll see what comes out of that.
I'm having a night of wrestling. I'm talking to you for an hour about wrestling. I'm about to go watch Raw on delay, baby. Hey, skip those commercials. Skip those 5-minute commercial breaks.
Oh my God. Can 3 hours?
Don't get me started.
Bro, don't get me started on. I actually have a whole rant on Hulu about Hulu. Because I usually watch it back on Hulu. And I'm pissed, bro, because they be cutting my matches out. Like, last time Nakamura went against Bronson Reed, I wanted to watch that match. They cut it out.
Why are they doing that?
What the fuck? I think they want to cut out on time, but I'm like, bro, just cut out commercials. Don't give me. You can cut out like some random, stupid matches, but don't cut that one out.
Yeah, relax. I didn't know they did that. I watched it back on YouTube TV, and so they cut it. So there's different versions. So like, what airs on YouTube TV or what airs live is different on the Hulu version.
So on Hulu, yeah. So Hulu, like for example. I would go on and be like, oh man, I saw an Instagram clip of Max Dupree or the Alpha Academy doing something really funny, really great. Okay, let me go back, watch it on Hulu. Bro, none of their segments are on TV or on the Hulu version. They cut it all out.
That's just not smart business there.
I'm like, what the fuck are you like? What are Hulu? We got to get a wrestling fan at Hulu and be like, nah, you can't cut that one out. Like they're getting over. You can't cut their stuff out. You know what I'm saying?
Hulu. I hope Hulu doesn't become a sponsor of this podcast anytime soon. We're ruining it now,
bro. But I'm just like, I gotta find. I either need to record Raw every week, or I like watching Hulu because that's where I watch NXT, SmackDown, all that stuff. But in no commercials. But still, bro, it's pissing me off that I'm missing certain stuff. And I was
going. Like, I can feel it. I can feel it over here. Keep going,
bro. I don't like not completing stuff. So like, if I'm watching Raw. And then I see freaking Alpha Academy talking to somebody. I'm like, how the hell are they in a rivalry? Like I missed last week. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Well, you ain't the only one, so they need to fix that shit. So
yeah, that's pissing me off. But okay. So we talked about Rey Mysterio winning the U.S. title. Now we were talking about our top 5 U.S. champions of all time. We will probably have a little bit of overlap. Obviously, this title was not the most prestigious. It has a lot of history, but I'm gonna be honest. I'm not going back that far. As far as winners, I'm a WCW guy. That's how I started in wrestling. And the U.S. title came from WCW. But there's a few title winners there that I kind of pay homage to. But for the overall, it's pretty WWE centric. So yeah, Morgan, I'm sure you know from my other episodes how it goes. But it's 5-5, 4-4, 3-3. You know how it goes.
Like you, me, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, number 5. I'll go first. My boy MVP.
Hey.
Bowling. But yeah, MVP. I thought he was really good during his time. I didn't think he was good enough to obviously compete for like a heavyweight title or go up against Batista at the time and all those guys at the time. But he was just a great U.S. champion, had a good character. Him and Matt Hardy's rivalry was like classic. They was out here doing like playing basketball against each other and doing all kind of crazy like character work stuff that was really funny. And MVP is great on the mic. Actually, when he came back in 2020, he was kind of a big part of helping Bobby Lashley get to the level he got. You know what I mean? Just off of mic skills alone. So, yeah, MVP is a U.S. title, U.S. champion. He's kind of synonymous in my head of like 2000s guys who held it. I think of MVP. So, really good character. Held it down for a little bit. Has been a few other places, but yeah, his main WWE run, he was the U.S. title contender or holder. So, yeah, number 5 MVP. What you got?
Keep him in mind for my list a little bit later. I'm ruining it.
Okay.
But number 5 for me, I'm going to go out of nowhere. Lance Storm, baby. Remember him?
Hey,
remember
I
Lance
love
Storm?
me some Lance Storm.
Hey,
come on, man.
Back in my heyday, man, in the 2000s, Lance Storm was like one of these guys for some reason. Like I was making like graphics with Lance Storm, and I had this weird. I like Lance Storm, and so I was doing a little research on this. He held it for 115 total days. He had 3 total reigns. That pales in comparison to like the 700 days of all these other people and whatnot. But I chose Lance Storm because one, he was a guy that kind of did a little bit of everything. WCW, WWF, all that, ECW, whatever. He was everywhere. And I want to pay a little homage to what I grew up watching. So I got to throw a little Lance Storm on there. I figured it'd be out of left field enough for it. So, hey.
No, I love me some Lance. I remember when he changed it from the U.S. title to the Canadian, he put the Canadian flag on his title belt. People were pissed. Yes. But yeah, Lance was great, man. He was great in WCW. That's kind of where I first saw him. And obviously when he went to WWE. But yeah, man, Lance Storm's quality. That dude could wrestle with anybody.
I just want to mention that name. I bet a lot of people haven't thought about him in a while.
Yeah, man. Lance Storm, good one. Number 4 for me, this guy's, he's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I probably mentioned this on my podcast more than any other wrestling fan, any other wrestling podcaster mentions him on theirs. But he's just one of the GOATs. I keep it strictly in the ring. Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit is one of the greatest U.S. champions ever. He held in WCW, he held in WWE for a little bit. He was one of the few U.S. title people who held the title, but was big enough to go even past it and go get heavyweight titles and things of that nature. So yeah, man, Chris Benoit is one of my favorite. He was one of the first people to make me fall in love with wrestling. And I think that's why I love the Gunthers, the super intense people. Yeah. I love those guys, I think, due to guys like Chris Benoit. So, yeah, number 4, Chris Benoit.
And those, nice accent there. And those dudes that can be that intense and are believable with it, they just go so much further. Because it takes a special talent to, be that imposing figure. And so, yeah, like you said, talking strictly in ring, we all know.
Exactly.
You can't go wrong with Benoit in the ring. Number 4 for me, talk about some overlap in a little bit. I'm going with Booker T, man. I feel like Booker T. Hey, exactly. I don't want to ruin your list a little bit, but you're going to be talking about him in a second. But Booker T, I feel like obviously with his title run, his heavyweight title run, that was a long time coming, and especially in WCW when he won that belt, that was a big time moment. But also, I feel like the United States Championship, even though I kind of slandered it earlier, I for some reason maybe we can replay it back and it's completely just trashing it. But I feel like in that little period of time that took off, I feel like I just kind of associate the United States Championship sometimes with Booker T. I just remember him with I guess the runs that he did have, I just checked in around that same time. So I just always feel like he did bring a little bit of legitimacy, that I was complaining about that it didn't have. But I felt like every time Booker T did have it, I felt like it kind of just fit him, and it just kind of was a perfect belt for him. And of course, man, it's Booker T, dude. That's a legend right there. I just watched the A&E documentary over him the other day too. This dude needs to be talked about more, just for what he does. Even when he's doing the NXT commentary, he's great, man. So any chance to throw Booker T on there?
What do you say? Ducky, ducky, quack, quack. What does he be saying? I forgot what
I don't know.
Saying.
Sometimes Shucky, it's bad, but good. Yeah.
Shucky, ducky, quack, quack.
That's why I put him on there. Booker T, baby, number 4.
Yeah, man. I actually tap into the AEW documentaries. I've not, for some reason or another, I just haven't watched them, and I know they're there and I need to watch them. I saw Roddy Piper's pop up today, and I was like, oh, I need to watch that one.
Well, we probably know everything. I will say, the Stone Cold A&E one was great, but I already knew everything because you're like me, you just know everything they're gonna talk about anyway. So it's kind of not for us. But
and Stone Cold was the first one I was like, okay, I probably know most of this. I did see a few clips with Paul Heyman, and I was like, oh, okay, never thought of it that way. But for the most part, I was like, I kind of, if you're really tapped in, you know most of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, same, man. Number 3 for me.
Top
Booker
3.
T.
Oh, hey,
yeah, Booker T, man. I'm a, you know, like I'll say it again, WCW guy. I was with Booker T when he was a tag team champion with Harlem Heat with his brother. And then, yeah, the U.S. title was like the first singles title he won in
Yeah.
WCW. And so like that was the first, and like he had to go through some shit to get to even to the world title because they did not want to put the title on him. And so like Eric Bischoff and then was trying to like hold him down a little bit. But yeah, dude, he held the U.S. title with like class, and he made it look good. Like he held it down for the mid card, which at that time in WCW was loaded. And then yeah, when he made his way back up to WWE, yeah, like I think it was his King Booker
Yes.
run. Yeah, he had the U.S. title, and yeah, man, he had the world title too at one point. But yeah, he was just, you can't go wrong putting a belt on Booker T. You know what I'm saying? It's just gonna look better no matter what it is. And yeah, Booker T, man, we already know what comes with that.
You're number 3. Well, we're kind of going back and we're playing ping pong a little bit. I know this is not going to be in accordance to most people's lists, but I've got your boy MVP in my top 3.
Hey, again, I like it.
Hey, this is all, again, going back to the time that I'm not going to lie, I missed MVP's reign. That was a part of the 10 or 15 years where I was like just not paying attention to it, wasn't ever paying attention to it. But when you gave me the list of topics and I started doing a little research, I realized that MVP had a little, I won't say stranglehold, but he was kind of synonymous with the United States title for all the reasons you were talking about earlier. And so I feel like even though it was a period of time I wasn't watching too much of it, I feel like for this guy to kind of do his thing, kind of put it on the map as he did, and then still kind of have his impact, you know, years later, coming back, helping Bobby Lashley and now, and kind of making his presence felt every now and then. I feel like it's a nice little top 3 nod to MVP, a guy that, you know, a lot of people might forget about sometimes, but I think when you think United States Championship, you see him on all these top 10 lists. He may not be top 5 for a lot of people, but I'm making up for me being out of it for a little bit, and I'm kind of overcorrecting here, so I'm putting MVP top 3.
Man, I feel you, man. Like MVP is nice, and he was killing in an era where like we said, like it was kind of the start of the ruthless aggression era. I kind of tapped out around the ruthless aggression era too. I could tap that around like 04-ish or 5-ish. And like at that time, like SmackDown was loaded. Like the best wrestlers were on SmackDown. You had like DX and those people on Raw, but the best like Edge, Rey Mysterio, Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero, you know, Undertaker, all those guys were on SmackDown. And so he killed in a very good era. So I'll give him points for that as well. Number 2 for me. Some people may not put him in here, but I do. My boy Bobby Lashley.
But I do.
My boy Bobby Lashley. I give him the nod because he took this. I mean, and we can talk about it, but this U.S. title design, like belt design, is beautiful. It might be the best design in the whole company right now as far as title belts. But he was the first person. He was one of the first people to hold that belt during the pandemic era. Honestly, side note, somebody should write a book about the pandemic era of the WWE and the benefits of it, because it was amazing. Like people sleep on it, but like we get some of the best storylines we've ever had from that pandemic era. And one of the good ones was we saw the like ascension of Bobby Lashley. He held the U.S. title really well. He made it look good. He looked dominant. He looked like the guy we all wanted Bobby Lashley to be, but it was always something missing. Where during that U.S. title reign, he took it to another level. Obviously, he had MVP on his side, so he had a little U.S. title insight, a little mentorship there. And then he catapulted him to go on to win the WWE title and actually look like a legitimate winner, legitimate champion. So, yeah, Bobby Lashley, to me, he was one of the few guys where, like, he held the U.S. title, and I was like, oh, shit, like, that title's legit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, Bobby Lashley, pandemic era U.S. champion. That reign was tough.
I like how, you know, of course, you know, we could do, and I know you got this guy on your list, but there's some people we left out. I mean, because everyone's kind of touched this championship. So like, of course, you want to talk about the Bret Harts of the world and all this and all that. So it's nice to give some love to people, a little bit out of left field, a little bit. And this kind of goes back to mine. I'm on number 2, I think. And so everything I just said, Brandon, throw it out the window because I'm going chalk basically now. Number 2 for me is Lex Luger. Not my, you know, he's had his warts, you know, he's got his problems, you know, in the ring and his personality and maybe the kind of the way his career ended up. But this guy, especially going back to the WCW days, I mean, I feel like this dude has held every championship, but and doing that research, 523 days. That's how long his third reign as U.S. champion lasted. So the reason I mentioned that, I mean, anybody can look up stuff and get these numbers. I'm not trying to, act like I'm doing anything crazy over here. But we talk about Gunther's current reign with the IC title. We're talking about Roman Reigns' reign with his title. And then you go Lex Luger. No one else held it for 523 days at one time. So when you're making a top 5 list and you're leaving out all these names like the Bret Harts, and even for me, I do have one omission that people will probably criticize. But I think you got to show a little love to the old school guys, and Lex Luger is definitely one of those people that maybe you kind of gloss over. You're so infatuated with these new names and modern history. I feel like Lex Luger is kind of in that in between a little bit. So show him some love.
Yeah, man. It's funny. His career has always been interesting to me because, like, he was supposed to be the next Hogan.
Yeah.
And then he wasn't the next Hogan, fell off, came back in WCW, start killing it again. Obviously, teaming it up with Sting and all this other against the NWO and all that stuff. That's kind of when I was put up on him, was him and Sting against the NWO.
Yes.
And the torture rack.
I'm about to say I was doing it over here. You can't see me, but I was doing my little
bro, I was literally doing it.
Yeah. In the video games, I feel like he was always the main player in some video games growing up. I played too. So.
Oh yeah, WCW Revenge and all that. Yeah, I was tapped in. I was tapped in, but no, he was a really good U.S. champion. He looks the part, obviously. So yeah, he's definitely a good champion. And yeah, like you said, he has a long ass title reign. That's really long.
Are we already at number 1 for you?
We're already at number 1.
I'm doing a drum roll. I don't know if you could hear it.
I appreciate that. For number 1 for me, I want to say I'm not the biggest fan of this person. I believe he is a tad bit overrated. However, I don't want to just shit on my pick, but
this pick sucks, but it's number 1.
But as far as U.S. title reigns, I respect what he did for this title. So my number 1 is John Cena, because there was a time later in his career, like he's still in his prime, but a little late in his prime, where he did this whole U.S. champion, like U.S. title open challenge. And it became like a thing, you know what I'm saying? It became a thing that he used to, like, okay, I want to put over new talent. How do I do that? I take the U.S. title, and every week I just have new talent come from NXT, come from, if they're already in the locker room, wherever, they come and they challenge me. They would lose, but they would have outstanding matches. Like, he would have really good matches with guys. And so I always respect a guy like that, especially a guy, you're the top of the food chain and you're doing that. I respect that. So yeah, John Cena's number 1. I still don't think he's to the level that people try to put him at as far as superstars of all time, but U.S. champions of all time, I got him number 1.
Absolutely. Like you said, anytime you do like an open challenge thing to where you actually defend the championship, kudos. He keeps it fresh. It puts other people in the spotlight. So I like how we're kind of maybe seeing that with Seth Rollins with the heavyweight championship on Raw, if they keep it up that way. My number 1, not gonna lie, man, my list is awful. I left off John Cena. Okay, so my number 1 is not John Cena, and I'm going back to old school. I guess I'm living back in the day a little too much. Mr. Ric Flair, of course we can talk about the 16-time world champion and all that. He only held the U.S. championship 5 times, but I feel like if you want to give, pay homage to the U.S. championship and where it came from, I think like in the beginning days, Ric Flair is one of those guys that kind of carries that weight, so to speak. So not much else to add. I mean, obviously I probably should have added John Cena there. I've left out some people, and I'm looking at a list right now that I was looking at before. You got Bret Hart, another good one, Ricky Steamboat back in the day. A lot of older school people. A lot of people wanted to get Sting was even a championship. A lot of WCW love and flavor here, but I put Ric Flair on there just because, hey, you know what? I know he's been getting a lot of attention lately. He's getting up there in age. Let's show him respect while he's still here. Number 1 on my list. But of course, if I was, doing this by the book, Brandon, I probably got to have John Cena in there. So,
I respect it.
Whoops on that one.
I respect it, man.
I put Lance Storm in there though. So give me something.
No, I love it, man. I'm glad we had a few different people anyway. So, but no, I mean,
sucks.
Ric Flair, I love Ric Flair. Like he obviously used that title to get to the main title, but that's like the old school U.S. title where it like literally had a thing of like a gold plated like the.
Are you looking at the
United
same picture
States.
I'm looking at right now?
I've seen it.
Have you seen
I've
it?
seen
Yes,
it.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes, it's literally United
yeah.
States, like topography look on there. It's
Exactly.
crazy.
Yeah, man. It was, and like that's one thing I love about what Triple H is doing. Triple H last year, when he was kind of doing the like really pushing the US title, he had like a little, and you can see it on YouTube actually. I watched it today, and he had like a little package where he showed the history of the US title, going back to like Ric Flair and a few people even before him, and then going people after him, and like showing all the way up to today. It was just really cool to see like how much history that belt has, because I think a lot of people don't know that. They think, US title is strictly WWE related.
Yeah,
It's like, no, that title's like NWA damn near, days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for everything I was saying about it, it is probably maybe one of the more prestigious belts in just terms of the history and where it's been and the organization it's been a part of. So, hey, maybe they're bringing some of that little, it back to it. Maybe giving it to Rey Mysterio as like start like maybe a new angle with that title. But what I was saying kind of earlier, to backtrack, so I mean, maybe you could edit it and maybe take out some of my disparaging comments out. But I feel like it is one of those belts that it probably just needs not like a reset, but I feel like it could just use a little more oomph behind it. Especially, I think really what made me think that is the creation of that World Heavyweight Championship belt on Raw. So now where it would take the second in line one, now it's really third. So or maybe fourth, depending on what you think about the Intercontinental title. So
right,
there's a lot of belts out there, though. A lot of belts floating around.
I mean, it's only 4.
Aren't Sami Zayn and KO still the SmackDown?
I mean, they're still the tag team champions. I'm hoping they unify those.
Unify that sucker, man. Come on.
Yeah, they need to unify and give us a new belt. Jesus, those things
too many belts in the number. Yeah. You're
right.
Yeah,
I feel you. Yeah, but they need to unify those things and just give us a new belt. Like those titles are awful. Those are awful.
They look like participation belts. They do look.
Yeah, terrible. They look like you'd go to Target and grab a little replica belt. That's what those look like. And that's the thing. Like that's what pisses me off is like the title that Dom has right now, the North American NXT North American Championship. I love that belt.
It's awesome looking.
That belt is beautiful to me. That pays homage to that old US title. Yes. You know what I mean? Like we need to get back to like that. And I think that's what Triple H is doing.
Yes.
But yeah, you got to get rid of those tag titles.
Because a belt is supposed to. Oh, sorry, my bad.
No, go ahead, keep going.
No, you keep going, Brandon. Sorry.
No. I mean, to me, it's just like you just got to get back to where visually it looks important. Obviously, who you put it on is important. But if I see a freaking blue and red title, I'm gonna be like, nah. I'm sorry.
It looks like a kid's toy. Well, and it's also like the type of design too. It's like the new belt. Love the way that looks. That's kind of like an old school look to it. Love that.
Yeah.
But it's like the North American Championship belt. It looks like an old school belt. Like it looks like it has history to it. The new look of the United States or the old look of the United States Championships, like around the era where I was out of it. It's fine. It's gold. It's got its thing, but it's like it just says champion United States. Like. Yeah. To me, give me that big gold, or give me the gold where it's got these like kind of old school, like 1400s looking like lions on there and all that. Kind of makes it look like it came from an old era. It's like been passed down. So all these newfangled belts, the colors, and just it's saying WWE, like the spinny Rooney belt and all of that, and even the belt that Roman has right now, like where it has just a big WWE logo, like bedazzled. Right. It looks like trash. Give me something that looks like it came from the freaking 14th century. All right, like it's been through battle and we passed it down.
I don't know if you've seen. You maybe look it up, but like the NXT UK Tag Team Championships, those things are, first of all, NXT UK had the best belts of everybody. But they kind of lean more towards a historical way of building a belt. Like they wanted, like you said. You just say? So the NXT
UK Tag Team?
Yeah, Tag Team Championships. Those things are gorgeous. And those like actually look like, okay, some big time people have held these belts before.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Yeah, those look nice, right? Like
look, it doesn't take much. Give me some horses, give me some lions,
bro.
Give me some just looking like some abstract animal on there in gold plated, and it's gonna look like a good belt. Don't get too crazy.
Bro, the tag team titles now, they have 2 Spartan helmets. Cool, solid, that's fine, but it's a silver plates. Like that to me, that silver means second place to me.
No, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
No. I don't understand.
Yeah, if you don't have gold, I really don't want to pay attention to you. You know
Well,
what
even
I'm
though I
saying?
like it, and I said I like it, the new belt, the new Raw Championship belt, I do love the way it looks for the most part, but I don't like how the WWE is silver. It should all be gold to me, because that silver,
I
like
can
the way
see
the
that.
WWE stands out, is like a little too prominent. It all should just
Yeah,
be gold, but hey, going back to the Attitude Era, man, I'm that. Give me that. What do they call it? The one with the eagle on it,
the
and then
winged
the one,
eagle, baby.
yeah, the winged eagle, baby. Yeah, give me that.
Yeah,
But anyway,
I'm a big Goldie guy, but I get it. And I guess he kind of, the inspiration for that new title was kind of a mix of both, I guess. But
yeah, I like it. It's clean for the most part.
yeah, for the most part, I think they're heading in the right direction, anyways. Like they made some changes, they're heading in the right direction. So, but yeah, man, hit our top 5, ran down some WWE topics and AEW a little bit. Yeah, Morgan, I appreciate you hopping on with me, bro. It's good to talk
Dude.
wrestling with you. We've done it a million times before, but I'm glad we got to actually do it on the podcast. You know
No,
what I
this
mean?
is real, man. This is real. Like I said, I was a little bit nervous to be on it because one, you got your thing going on. I've been listening to a few episodes. Like you're carrying on that Pioneer Sports Podcast torch,
Yeah.
with flying colors. And so I was like, I don't want to come on here and mess it all up. So I know I talked a lot. You're probably going to cut me down a lot. So I hope it's not too much for the editor or anything. But man, let's do this some more. And the more I'm watching wrestling, the more I'm into it, the more I'll actually have some solid opinions and some knowledge, hopefully, rather than just talking about LA Knight for an hour. So
which we can do. You know what I mean? There's no problem with that.
Hey, just put LA Knight in the title of the podcast and get instant views. So
exactly.
But nah, man. Hey, I love it. I love chopping up with you anytime. So hope I can be back on again.
Yeah, for sure, man. Folks out there, definitely you can hit us up on the LMG podcast on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook, the League of Melanated Gentlemen Facebook group. That's where we talk different things, talking wrestling, but plenty of other things as well. You can hop in there and talk to me. And if you got a top 5 that you got a different one, hit me up in that Facebook group. We're talking about getting an Instagram. We're talking, we're on different platforms. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But otherwise, we out. Yeah.